This movement is a single leg hip thrust with a 3-1x tempo. So the idea is that you are doing a pretty slow eccentric portion of the movement. So if you started at the top of the movement, you're lowering down over the course of 3 seconds, getting into that stretch position for the glutes. You're gonna hold there for just a second. So 3 1,000s on the way down, 1 1,000 at the bottom, and then explode on the way up. So almost no time at all. And the idea is to go as fast as possible from the descended position all the way up to the top of the rep. So when you're doing a single leg hip thrust, you've got a couple of options. You can use a shorter glute bench, like 12 to 14 inches, or if you have a standard weight bench, that's usually okay with single leg hip thrust, just because you can use a little bit higher of a lift. So we're gonna try to place the lower shoulder blades across the edge of the bench. So don't let it veer up all the way up toward the top of the shoulders or into the neck. Instead, lower shoulder blades are on the bench, so that way I have a little bit of a shorter lever here along my torso. I'm gonna place feet so that by the time I go to lift up, my shin is at approximately a 90-degree angle with the floor. So not way out like this and not super close. So make sure you can just do a standard single leg hip thrust before you get into this one. Okay, so shins perpendicular to the floor, shoulder blades, lower shoulder blades are on the bench. I'm gonna lift my non-working leg either this way in the hip flexed position, or I can cross across the top of my opposite thigh if need be. So we'll start from the top, 3 seconds on the way down. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, hold at the bottom, 1,001, explode on the way up. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,001, explode. And we're not gonna actually hold at the top, we're just gonna go straight into the next repetition. So there's no pause at the top, 3 seconds down, 1 second at the bottom, explode on the way up. Make sure that you do both legs for every repetition. And if you want it to be harder, if you've gotten a hang of the exercise, you can add resistance, such as a dumbbell across the front of your hips. You could technically do this with a barbell. You could also secure a band across the hips and do it that way as well.